Well, hello everyone. Welcome to our, 43rd edition of Coffee is for Closers today. I am Michelle, the Pitch Queen, and it's an honor to be here with you all today. And today we are talking about one of my favorite topics because every topic is definitely one of my favorites. I truly believe that now. You guys probably think, wow, you always say that, Michelle. But no, it's really true. And today we are talking about networking. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Michelle, aka the Pitch Queen. I love talking about all things sales and really helping you not only gain the confidence in your sales conversations, but really make a difference in the clients' lives that you work with. Because ultimately, if we don't sell, then we can't even help our clients to the best of our abilities, because maybe it's fear. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you don't know what they're going to say to you. Maybe you think they're going to tell you no. Maybe you think you're just going to get a rejection. Whatever it may be, these fears come up for us all the time. So I host these bonus episodes of Coffee is for Closers every single week, and it's really all about sales related topics to help you increase your revenues in your business, really gain the confidence that you need and are looking for in your sales conversations. And also, like this month, we're talking about how do you find the right clients. Not all clients are the right clients, let me tell you. I have a really crazy story to share actually, so I'm going to start with that today. But I was on the phone with this guy. It was yesterday. We're going to call him Sammy, okay? And Sammy wanted to really enroll in my friend's program. So Sammy was an EA or a CPA. But Sammy was so far down a rabbit hole that he was working with every client and any client that he could find. It didn't matter. I bet if they had like a tail, he would probably work with them. Like it didn't even really matter what this person had. That's how crazy it was. Anyway, he wanted to try the financing option to enroll in her program. And to be honest, I think that Sammy thought it wasn't going to happen. And then it happened. And then all of this negative stuff kept coming up and coming up again. And he literally talked himself out of it. And I just refunded his financing option because I'm like, this guy is not going to be a good fit. He's going to be a disaster. And he started to lie to himself. So not all clients are the right ones. And when you start networking, it's really, really, really important to find the right clients who you want to help and serve to ultimately not only make your job and your work and your business really fun, but you also do it for them too. So it's super duper important. Okay. So we are talking about networking today. I almost forgot this camera. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments below today. And also, if you are on my Facebook page, the four of you there, I'd be so grateful if you can hit the share button real quick to share this out on your pages. That would be amazing. And if you're on Instagram and want to see my slides, then you guys can pop on over to the Pitch Queen Facebook page. So again, likes and hearts on Facebook. And if each of you can just hit the share button, that would be great. And then we're going to get into what we're talking about today, which is Networking 101. Okay? So for those of you that can see my screen, let me just show you what we're talking about. So again, this is Coffee is for Closers. This is a weekly show, and it's everything that you probably encounter, need, and want as an entrepreneur, especially if you are selling a high value, high ticket offer. So this is all about networking 101. And I also want to just bring up one other topic because you are who you hang around. So not only is networking really important to find the clients that you truly want to work with so you don't end up like with a Sammy, but this is really also about, think about who you hang out with. Who are you surrounded yourself with? It's really, really important that you get it right because you are who you hang around. So today we're going to go over a quote. We're going to go why is networking important? And I'll share a few stories. What networking is and what it's not. We're going to go over that. How to get past the fear of meeting real people. Yes, meeting real people in real life. Making your perfect networking plan and setting a goal for the month and ending it with some energy for the soul. So really, effective networking isn't a result of luck. It actually requires a lot of hard work and patience. And patience is definitely one that I have gotten a lot of practice on in the last few weeks. And this is from Lewis Howes. For those of you that don't know Lewis, he's got the School of Greatness, this great School of Greatness podcast. Lewis is awesome, and I couldn't say it better than that. So why is networking important? Businesses are built on relationships, right? People buy from people at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what you sell, just like with my last company, Fitzy Foods, I sold a product, but still, people bought because of me. So I'm going to get into that in just a second. People crave genuine connections. That's actually a human trait. Like, we actually crave this. And relationships take time and are really, yes, worth the energy to build and create. But really, the power of relationships, let me share a study with you, okay? So the first group that just jumped straight into negotiations or some sort of sales deal without building a relationship had 55% agreeable outcomes. However, in another group that they tested that got to know each other for a few minutes before really starting any negotiations, found that 90% had an agreeable outcome. So that's like almost double, right? And if you think about it, it's really true because you have to really be able to connect and build that relationship. If you can build a relationship, the negotiation outcome is in your favor by almost 200%. That's what that means. So let me just share a story, right? With Fitzy Foods, my last company, we were a product-based business. And when I was in negotiations with the vitamin shop, they could have easily chose any company over me. It didn't matter. However, what mattered was that they bought people. They bought a team. They bought into a vision of a team. And part of that vision was me. And I did a lot of networking, which is what we're talking about today, to even get to that point that I was able to help them. I was flying into New York just to see these people. I would fly from San Diego to New York just to meet these people in person, because I knew that if I met them in person, I could build that really strong bond and business relationship that requires $1 billion company to work with $1 million company, where they could have worked with one of my competitors at a much smaller, well, they were a lot larger than me, but they didn't have the personal connection. So really, that's how I was able to get that deal at the time, was simply because I had a strong bond and connection and did what I call outside the box networking. And in addition to that, if you sit on a plane and you get a first class seat or you get an exit row, the people that you're sitting next to are some of the best people to network with. I have met investors. I have met someone who actually reached out to like Mark Cuban after I had been on Shark Tank, who sent an email and said, hey, I met this entrepreneur. You should really talk to her, even though he still wasn't interested. But you never know who you're going to meet. And it's really important to build these business relationships so you get a 90% outcome in your favor for negotiating versus a 55% outcome in negotiating, right? And I always, like, for those of you that are selling a higher value service, right, like my CPAs, the ones that I've worked with, you guys know who I'm talking about, if they're going to sell a $50,000, let's say, tax plan, okay, we'll just use $50,000 as the example. One of the most important things with a brand new client is that they should have a pre-meeting, maybe go to dinner, maybe go to a coffee. If it's going to be a really big sale and a really big value, then you want to get to know them. You want to get to know their family. You want to understand who they are and what makes them tick. So I like to call it a pre-meeting. And if you have a pre-meeting with some of your big buyers, big clients, maybe a big investor, maybe you're trying to get $500,000 from an investor, it doesn't really matter what it is, but the greater the sale or the investment, the more of the business relationship that you're going to have to really get really deep in with them. So I like to say have pre-meetings, all right? If you have any questions so far or comments or any other ideas on why networking is important, also why having the strong business relationship is important, put it in the comments below, okay? Just put them down below in the comments. All right, so moving right along. Moving right along, what networking is and what it is not. So networking is really all about, guess what? Making connections in real life. You can also network on the internet, but if you can truly do more networking in your backyard, in your hometown, in a meetup, one of my friends, Kat, runs meetups. These are all great ways for networking, which equals making connections. Networking is not about making sales or pitching yourself or anything like that. That we save until later. Remember, we're building the connection, building the rapport. So networking is also a chance to make new friends and meet people who you can mutually benefit each other. Networking is not scary or stressful. At least for me, it's not, but maybe for some of you it might be. But hopefully with some of the things we talk about today or some of the stories I share, you can see that if you actually put networking into practice, you get really great returns on your investment of networking. And networking is not throwing your business card around to every person you meet. You are looking for the right person, okay? So that's really what this is about. It's finding the right person. Who is the person that is the best suited for you? Was it like Sammy, who I talked about earlier? No. And granted, I didn't meet Sammy networking. That was more of like a lead, but that is not a good lead for our program. It's just not a good fit. So when you're networking, my rule of thumb is this. If you go to one networking event, can you connect with one or two people max? That is your ideal client, that can help you find your ideal client, that can do a really good introduction. I never try to meet more than one or two people. That's it. You do not need to give your business cards to 8 million people. That's not the important thing. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. One of my really good friends is Marshall Falk, and he has this new business he's doing with insurance and finance and other things. And there was a person there who I just interviewed today for one of the Wednesday episodes right here on the podcast, Kevin Harrington, who is the first shark on Shark Tank, right? He was one of the first ones. Sorry. Anyway, Marshall invited me to this event, and Kevin Harrington was going to be in town in San Diego. And I'm like, well, I have to go. I cannot not go. And I was telling Kevin today that when I was there, I couldn't find him. And I don't even know. I had his cell phone number, but I didn't even text him. Now I'm thinking about it like, man, what the heck was I thinking? But my point is that my only mission that day was to meet Kevin Harrington in person. That was it. And I told him today that was my mission and my goal. And I'm going to have to just see him in June when he comes back to LA. But my point to each of you is, how can you go to one event, one business mixer, one whatever, and just meet one person or maybe two where it's mutually beneficial? It's got to be a give and take relationship. So with Kevin, well, how is it give and take? He was able to share all of these stories that he's never shared before right here on Success Unfiltered. Now that's a benefit because he gets introduced to new audiences. Maybe people here listening have a product-based business, and then, he's done over 500 investments, this guy. He's done 500 investments. That's a lot of investments. So I think he's always looking for awesome entrepreneurs that have a great product-based business. So again, one or two people is all you have to meet because we're looking for the right person. We're not looking for everybody. And I think this is one of the biggest mistakes people make when they're out and about and networking. And, you don't even need to go to an event. You can network at the airport. Maybe if you travel a lot, for example, you can go to the airport and say, you know what? I want to talk to one person on this flight. You guys, that's networking. And there are great people that you can meet on an airplane. Trust me. Great. All right. So what do you guys do for networking? Put in the comments below. What do you guys do for networking? What works? What doesn't work? What are some ideas? I can't see any comments. Oh, it's also important to have connections built with different levels of seniority within your larger customer business. That's a good one. If you guys, I need some water. What are you guys drinking today? If you are selling to a larger customer, Chris had a really good point. Okay, so if you are selling to a larger customer, it is very, very, very important that you build business relationships with all the people inside the business. I'm going to go back to my Vitamin Shop example for you on this. And the reason why is I became really good friends with Ev. I had a mind blank. Ev was the executive assistant to Doug Jones. Doug Jones at the time was the senior buyer who was on all of the new outside the box ideas, because that's all I did back then. But Ev, I had to build a relationship with her. I would bring her lunch. I would send her cards. She was just as important as Doug, actually, because you guys need to become friends with what I call the gatekeepers. If we don't have good business relationships with gatekeepers, for those of you selling into really large organizations, companies with a lot of people, it's going to make it a little bit more challenging. So I highly encourage you to not only build really good business relationships with the whole team you're working with, but think outside the box. What if you were the executive assistant? Put yourself in their shoes. What would you want? How would you want to be treated? How do you want to build that relationship and the rapport with that person? Again, networking has a lot of different components to it, but as it relates to increasing your sales and revenues in your business, you have to really nail this like really, really well. It will pay off. I promise. All right. Any other comments, questions, anything yet? Also, if you have water, however you're staying hydrated, enjoy. I already had my coffee. I know, these are our episodes of Coffee is for Closers, but I drink coffee every morning. And if I would drink coffee right now, I would be up all night, and that would not be a good thing. Chris, so true about having that mutual value. In networking, we know what we want, but as you said, we need to think about what's in it for them. Yeah. So for each and every one of you, networking is a form of sales. Okay? Networking is a form of sales. It's got to be about the other person. It's not about you. It has nothing to do with you, actually. Right? Networking is, think about it, what can I do for this person? And if I don't get anything in return, how do I know that this was a benefit for them? Because let me tell you, karma, it comes around. The more you give, the more you're going to receive in the future. It happens all the time. But networking is just like selling to our clients and helping our clients. A sale has nothing to do with you. It only has everything to do with our clients, our prospects, whatever it may be. Okay? All right. Moving right along. So that's what networking is and isn't. So how do you really get past the fear of meeting real people? Or maybe not even meeting, but just even talking to real people. Because it's like, oh, well, what am I going to say? And just so you know, next week, right here, we are going to be talking about the perfect pitch. So when you're on the plane, when you're networking, wherever you are, we'll concise it down to 2 different options for you on what can you say. What do you say to someone to catch their attention, but also have it be about them? So make sure you're here next week. Shift the focus off of you and onto the other person. That's number 1. Again, you always want to listen 80% of the time. You're only going to talk 20%. And what you want to listen for are what is important to them. What makes this person tick? What is interesting to them? How can I be of service to them? That's really, really what you want to listen for. And practice. Practice, do it everywhere. The airplane, the line at Starbucks, coffee shops. We have these new coffee shops here called Phil's. They're so good. Gas stations, and really avoid overthinking. Giving genuine compliments and genuinely caring about people is really all you have to do. So I'll give you a few examples as to what it is that I do as it relates to this networking thing, because clearly I don't have a problem meeting new people. And again, it's come with a lot of practice. So I'm going to give you some examples that you can put into action today. And then next week, we are going to talk about the perfect pitch. And we also have a very special guest next week. So keep in mind that. So a few good ways to network. Like I said, on an airplane. If you fly, I highly, highly suggest you pay the extra money, A, for a first class seat, or B, for an upgraded seat in the main cabin. You want to sit in the bulkhead row or one of the 2 or 3 exit rows. It is worth every penny as long as you are not a little scared, but actually try to talk to the person to your right or left or in the middle or the whole row. Like I said, I have met people that have introduced me and emailed, like Mark Cuban. I met an investor and we still keep in touch. She lives in New York City. I've been over to her house for tea and coffee. It's literally on Park Avenue. Beautiful mansion, apartment is what they call them in New York, but this was really like a massive mansion just stuck in the middle of New York City. And you will be so surprised what will happen. But you have to just really get your mind right and say, hey, if I just do what Mel Robbins says, which is take one thing and just make one small step of action, then that could really change the whole game of your business, of your networking. You never know who you're going to meet. But it's on us to actually start talking to people. And if you don't talk to somebody, then you're just losing out. You're losing out on a possible opportunity. And just like, I'll go back to even how I met Kevin Harrington. I went to an event here in San Diego called Secret Knock. It's Greg Reed's event. And the whole time, it was literally 2 days and 2 nights of networking. And I understand that networking makes you exhausted because I'm actually an introvert I'm an extrovert and it still makes me exhausted. So for the introverts out there, I understand how difficult it can be. However, I didn't try to meet everybody there. This was a really big event. So it was like 2 days, 2 nights. So I was looking for 4 main people. I use the rule of thumb. If it's a 1-day event, you just want to meet 1 really good person. If it's a 1-day event with an evening event, meet 2 good people. And I met a new pal. His name is Eric. And Eric and I were just chit-chatting, and he said, what are some guests you're looking for on your podcast on Success Unfiltered? And I gave him a little description of what I was looking for. And then he had found out I pitched on Shark Tank season 4, and he's like, hey, do you know Kevin Harrington? I said, no, but do you know him? And would you be open to introducing me? And he said, sure, let's do it right now. And what he did was he did a selfie video. It was myself and Eric in the video. And he sent a text to Kevin with the video and copied me on it. So not only did I get introduced to Kevin, but I also got his cell phone number. I mean, that just came from me just talking to somebody who I thought would be interesting, and how could I be of value to him is where I was coming from, even though I know he wants to do a podcast interview too, so that's going to be a benefit to him. But there's always got to be something in it for the other person first. Did it benefit me? Heck yeah, I got an introduction to Kevin Harrington, who I interviewed today. I mean, that's just awesome. So a lot of amazing opportunities come from really great networking. But again, you're not looking for everybody. If you go to an event, this one had about 100 people. I was really only looking to make really 4 to 6 good connections over this 2-day, 2-night situation. If you're going to a morning networking event, just have in your mind that you just need to find one good person that you can help, and in return, they're going to help you. All right. So what do you guys think about that? Any questions, comments? Do you experience the same thing? Or is it just me? Put it in the comments below. And then also, I'd be grateful if you would hit the share button and share this on your pages to really spread the word out about Coffee is for Closers. So we'll just keep going. So that's like really getting past the fear. So how do you make your perfect networking plan for you? Like, what would be a good plan that would work for you? First, you need to know who you want to meet and why. So part of my networking plan is really meeting awesome entrepreneurs that are willing to share their raw, authentic stories about being told no and being rejected and how they got to their level of success today. And they're willing to be vulnerable, raw, and real. That is who I want to meet. So when I go to events or I do some networking, that's what I have in my mind. So before you do anything, you actually need to have who you want to meet on your mind. Do your research prior to an event. If there's speakers, actually look at all the speakers. So I'm going to get to that in a second. And make a goal with a deadline to meet each person that's on your list. Your list shouldn't be that long. We're only talking maybe 1 to 4 or 5 people, depending on where you're going, what type of event you're meeting. And take it one person at a time. You know, if you didn't talk to everyone you wanted to meet, that's okay. Because again, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Very, very different, okay? So I'll give you another example because this just happened at, what was that event I went to? Traffic and Conversion. So I went to an event that happens here in San Diego every single year called Traffic and Conversion. And at Traffic and Conversion, there are thousands and thousands of people. However, I only had maybe 6 people on my list to meet. And this was probably a 3 or 4 day event. It was morning and night. So lots of opportunities to meet hundreds of thousands of people. But I only needed to meet 6 people. That was my goal. So the first person I wanted to reconnect with in person was Damon John. And Damon was the keynote speaker at Traffic and Conversion this year. And he also had a book signing that was going on after the keynote. And since I did Shark Tank, he's been in San Diego for a couple other book signings that I've showed up at. And I knew he was going to be here. So I met his head of sales because I also met him from being on Shark Tank. And we connected and he said, you know, the book signing's going to be in the VIP area. And one of my other girlfriends is working with them with some distribution for her company called Sashbag. Great product, by the way. If you want to check it out, just go to sashbag.com, I think. It's a really great bag purse for women who, you know, don't want to walk around sideways like that. But anyway, I was able to we went in the VIP room. We were first in line and I got to see Damon. I was like, hey, I haven't seen you in about a year or 2. I know you see a lot of entrepreneurs, but I would love to have you on my podcast, Success Unfiltered. And, you know, it's only 30 minutes of your time and you can share some stories that you've never shared before. Okay. Key number 1, it was something new that he probably, you know, most people that interview him probably ask him the same questions over and over again. I'm going to ask 180-degree different of what he's used to. So his messaging for his book or for any other of his programs that he sells could get exposed to all of you, right? And that's really what was in it for him. And he said yes in front of me and Maury and my friend Nicole. So hopefully he's my second shark that will be here for our Wednesday episodes. But again, it's all about really good networking. And because I built a really good business relationship with Maury, who's his head of sales, it's able to keep going. And our relationships is really what, you know, I always say My friend Sean says the riches are in the niches, right? I would say that your relationships is a direct correlation to your top line revenues too. If you really think about it, some of the biggest deals you've had, some of your biggest clients, or maybe even the investors that you've raised money from, it literally stems from your network. And when you're networking, we aren't looking for 100 people. You're looking for one person that you can help that could also change your life and your business. Okay? So put in the comments below what you think about that. Chris said maybe a separate topic, but what tips would you give for networking through social sites such as Instagram? Yeah, that is a separate topic, and I can tell you guys everything that I do, so maybe we can do that towards the end of the month. So the month of May is all about networking, okay? But next week we have a special guest, and then we're also going to talk about the perfect pitch, because you can do all the networking in the world, but if you're saying something totally off the wall, it's not resonating with anyone, you're actually going to turn people away. Do you guys have any questions, comments? Put them in the comments below, okay? I want to know what it is that you do for networking right now. What is it that you do today? Give me one thing that you do for networking for your business. I want to see it. All right. So again, you need a plan. So we're in a new month. Maybe what's your goal for the month? Maybe it's to go to one networking event and make at least one serious connection with someone where you both will be mutually benefited. Okay? That's the key. Both mutually beneficial. Very, very important. And remember, up next week, how to make a good elevator pitch. We have a very special guest, so make sure to tune in for that. But I really want to leave it with this because I do a lot of outreach for my podcast, right, for Success Unfiltered on the Wednesday episodes. And if you think about it, I am networking in the online space. I'm networking via text message. I'm networking via introductions from other people. So a lot of what we're talking about of networking in person, you can do a lot of the similar techniques even in the online space or via email. So we will talk about that in the future. But again, if you have any comments, questions, put them down below and let's talk about them for a little bit. Jeff Campbell said, identify the 5 non-family members that are most likely to refer me and I saturate them. That's awesome. Give first, give in the middle, and give last. Very good motto. I like that. I like how Jeff said, give first, give in the middle, and give last. If you don't get anything, just move on. You just did some charity work, you know? Your time is good. It's okay. I mean, we have limited time, so you can't do that all the time. All right, any other comments or questions? Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Chris, for putting your comments and questions. I really appreciate it. Again, if you can just hit share real quick on your pages, I'd be super grateful. And again, it was just an honor to be here with each of you today. Again, next week, we're going to have a special guest, so make sure to tune in right here for your bonus episodes of Coffee is for Closers. And I'm going to sign off. So I'll see you guys next week. Have an awesome day. And if you want to catch any of the older episodes, they're all on my website at The Pitch Queen. Okay? Oh, also for Jeff and Chris or whoever else is here, I have, if you really want to work on boosting your confidence in sales conversations, you guys can get my 5-step system that I created if you go to sellwithoutsleaze.com. So this is all about selling without being pushy, without being sleazy, and how to do it with confidence. So again, sellwithoutsleaze.com. Have a great day, guys. Bye.